Hello, everybody. Carm Capriato. It is the Town Hall Academy being brought to you right here from the Remarkable Results Radio podcast studio. We've got a great topic today, charging what we are worth. It's overdue, guys. I should have done this. I should have done this a while back, but I didn't. And okay, we'll survive with that. Good to have you here. I'd like you to see what's behind me. Every once in a while, you'll see a bunch of pictures and different ones. Hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of aftermarket professionals have been on the show, and I am going to start paying some homage to them. Hey, welcome everyone. How are you guys?
Good morning.
Well.
Doing well.
Good to have you here. Hey, don't forget, we can be out there on social media with you on Facebook, on LinkedIn, on YouTube. Love to have you subscribe to my YouTube channel or even like my stuff on Facebook. Give us a comment, check in with your city, share this amongst your peers. And that's a good thing. Hey, guys, before we get kicked off, we're actually waiting for one more participant. But you know how technology happens every once in a while, and it doesn't work like we wanted to. But hey, thanks so much to our sponsors for bringing you the show. Do you know what's as easy as 1, 2, 3? Well, Shopware's shop management system allows customers to review, approve, and pay for repairs all in one place. Keep your staff and your customers safe while maintaining profits and keeping your customers happy. Learn more at getshopware.com. Hey, does your social media truly represent your shop, or is it just plain vanilla generic posts? Well, it doesn't have to be that way. The experts at Shop Marketing Pros listen and create social content that connects you to your community on the web at shopmarketingpros.com. Thank you to our sponsors for that. Guys, we're going to talk about charging what we are worth. With me here is we'll wait on Maylan. Hopefully he does show up. Glenn Larson is with us from Foothill Auto Service, Lake Forest, California. Hello, Glenn.
Good morning.
So glad to have you here. And Carlo Sabucco, Sills Complete Auto Care Center, Oakville, Ontario.
Morning, Carm. Morning, everybody. Thanks for being here. I appreciate it.
Hey, I'm glad you're here, my friend. Now, It was Town Hall Academy 110, identical title, charging what we are worth. And it's been a long time since we did that. And I am upset that I haven't done this topic at least yearly. And we haven't, but now we're going to do it yearly. I promise you all. And this is one of the questions that I get from the audience, from my listener fan base, where I get, text, emails, Facebook messages. Carm, can you point me in the direction of setting the right labor rate? And a lot of all of that, has a labor rate component, but it's really more than that. Carlo, I want to start with you. I had a kind of an order in play, but since Maylan hasn't shown up, and hopefully he will, you started out in helping shape this episode by defining what is worth.
Yeah, inevitably, when I looked at the episode topic, it said it was charging what you're worth, and I sort of looked at it worth as in the monetary side of it, and then I sort of said worth in the people side of it, and I had to go in the dictionary and actually look it up, and it defines the value equivalent to that of someone or something under consideration, or the level of which someone or something deserves to be valued or rated. I had to actually look it up and sort of take a pause for it and see, what are we defining worth as? Is it the monetary calculation, or is it several other aspects of worth?
I think it's a great place to start. I think half the struggles out there is someone doesn't feel that they could charge anything because they don't have a value proposition. And, one of the things that I think we forget is the investment you've made of money and in time. You probably hardly ever see your family if you're doing things wrong, and yet you're not making any money. And you're going to talk about the Jingle Factor, Carlo. I absolutely love. Yep. We're gonna get into this thing called the Jingle Factor. But the reason we're here is we really want to push you to rethink your labor rate, your costs, your gross margins, and be super proud of the fact that we're in a knowledge-based industry. My friend Bob Greenwood talks about it all the time, right? Knowledge-based industry. Why aren't we paid for our knowledge? That's what we pay our doctor for.
Yeah.
Right, Glenn?
That's correct. Yeah. No, you just need to, you've got to build your customer base to people that want to pay your price to have you maintain their vehicles. And that's part of the fun of it, weeding out the people that are more price conscious and not value conscious.
Wait, stop. I love it. It's fun to weed out those customers.
Yeah.
Can you go a little deeper on that?
Well, you'll get, I think it's that 80-20 rule that you always hear about, and 20% of your customers are going to provide 80% of your profit. And the ones that aren't going to do that, you're going to spend a lot of time with them and you're not going to make any money off of it. So why not just get rid of them? And the people that you enjoy working with, those are the ones you want to come in here. Sometimes it's a painful process, but it takes time. And once you get it there, it makes life so much easier.
You told me backstage you're having a phenomenal year.
Yes.
What do you attribute it to?
Reputation, word of mouth advertising, and you take care of the customer. You focus on the people, focus on your employees, focus on your customers, keep everybody happy and everybody relying on you that, hey, we're going to be in good shape, and the money will come later. But you'll end up with those customers that come in here and they're not looking at the price. They know when they leave here in their car, it's going to be reliable, dependable transportation.
So, Carlo, what I just heard was worth.
Yeah. And part of me is I'm listening to the conversation, and, we talk about the 80-20 and those who don't want to pay and we need to escort them to other facilities. I don't mind my consumer, maybe I'm understanding this wrong. I don't mind a consumer that brings me coupons, who challenges me on my dollars and cents. They just want value for the dollar that they're paying. They don't mind paying your $135 labor rate. They don't mind paying for your matrix or whatever it is behind the scenes. They're just looking for value. And if they want to bring a promotion or a coupon, or they want to question you on the validity of your pricing and stuff, I think that's in every right to question it, as long as they're getting value for it, and that your people and the business is providing that value. And we're not talking necessarily value as in, hey, we use premium parts and we do 2 year 40,000 kilometers. I'm talking the whole package, the business, the company, the whole thing. But I don't want to escort someone out the door just because they don't want to afford my prices. It's just, did I give them enough value for it?
Well, so well said. Guys, let me just chime in here. I got this little note from John Francis. I mean, a lot of us know John. And he says, I had to respond to the topic of a town hall academy way back. Cecil Bullard said a few years ago that if you were charging around $60 an hour in 1980 and we raised our rates 3% a year, 3% is about the average cost of living increase since then, we would be around $200 an hour. What happened?
Emotional bank account.
Yeah.
We let it. We're emotionally driven. Like, we got COVID going on right now, and I'd like to say I run a professional facility, but there are times when I'm sipping coffee in the morning and I'm fearful of what's happening in the market, and do I change my pricing? And I understand all the mathematical formulas, but emotion is what got you to go from a tech to an owner, because you got excited about it. Emotion's a big driver in worth and what we charge.
It is, but I agree with you on the customers. The ones that are going to pay, you're not going to escort them out the door. What I'm saying is, we're experts at reading people, and when they come in the door the first time and they question, that's fine. The second time they can question. Once you earn their respect, then they're your customer. If you can't earn their respect and their trust, then they can't be your customer. And those are the ones that you'll refer down the street. But, and like you say, when it's a quiet day or a quiet week and you think, what do I got to do here? You think that, everybody thinks that, but you got to hold your own. Hey, you know what? I got up this morning, I got out of a warm bed and I came down here, I opened the shop up, and somebody's going to pay for that.
Mm-hmm.
And, you're worth it. You have to have that self-worth, like you said.
It's like I made in the notes. I think about when I looked at this topic and I talked about worth. I looked at in my own company. We compare it to like a triangle. The three sort of. I broke it down to the sort of the three angles of worth, and there's the worth of the business, the tooling technician. So do you have the right tools? Do you have the right technicians? Do you have the right advisors? Do you believe in your techs? Do you believe in your advisors? Do you believe that you have the right tools, the right alignment rack, the right balancer? Then there's the worth of the mathematics. We've heard every different trainer talk about the math, but then there's the worth of the how-to. So you're talking about the formulas, the calculations, the analytics. And then the last piece of that worth that I talked to myself about was are you the owner worthy? It's you really are the reason why everything else sort of happens. And I sort of broke it down into three areas of, this whole charging what you're worth starts off with the owner. That's really where it begins from.
Hey guys, I love the conversation. Keep it going, but I want to stop for a moment. Maylan says he's here, but Maylan, I see you in Facebook, not here in the studio. I resent you a new email. If you could click on that link and join us, we would love to have you here. So sorry, I'm doing a little housework here on the show, but you guys are on fire. Keep going.
Broke the train of thought.
We talk about charging what you're worth. So I thought about this, and I know some of the listeners, I tried to think of it from the standpoint, some shop owners have got their stuff together. They know the numbers, they're almost absentee, their machines run like clockwork. And then there's other people who listen, who are peers of mine that listen to the show, that they're still on the floor, turning wrenches, struggling for the back, the front, and they're trying to figure out, how do I do this and which way do I go? So, from the business side of this charging what you're worth, it's one of those questions that, does your facility warrant what you charge? I talked about Glenn's shop, and I made a comment about Glenn's. Glenn's, you have such a beautiful shop. And I'm like, I think there's worth in charging for that. But there are peers that I know in the industry that they still have the calendars of the girls in the walls. You slide in the front, you slide out the back, and they'll come to my shop and say, oh, if you're charging 130, I guess I should charge 130. And I'm like, because you ain't worth it. No, I don't want to mean that in a negative way, but what value, how come, what says that you can charge that other than just follow the leader? Like, your facility is not worth it.
Yeah, we have all factory scan tools. I'm so lucky with the crew that I've got. I've got one of the best diagnostic technicians in the area. And I also have I'm probably the best service writer I've ever met in all of the years I've been in business. And that's not me. That's them. I was lucky enough to have them come on board. And that's what carries us through. My technicians are all fabulous. I trust them, and they know exactly how we run our business. And we're all shooting for the same goals: keep the customer happy.
Yeah. It's an important part of our business. Just the whole worth is, I when I look at it, it's like going through your shop with a cup of coffee and taking a look around and looking at the tools, looking at your people and going, am I charging really what this place is worth? Like, I know some amazing facilities, stunning, gorgeous, professional, the outside, the inside, and they charge for it because they believe in it, because when you go to the facility, it looks like it. And I think that's part of our industry, and the professionalism is the one aspect of charging is, can you walk through your place and say, I actually should be charging more, or maybe I need a little bit of clean house here. Maybe I need to actually physically change some things around within the business to make it look a little bit better. Maybe I need better tools. I'm using an old Snap-on scan tool or something like that. Or I haven't had my hoist inspected in 6 years, so I'm using old equipment to still run my facility. I think that's the first part of looking at this, charging what you're worth. And I think that's an important part of it, is just taking a moment by yourself, walking through your shop and going, you know what? I have everything. And no, I don't think we're charging what we're worth. Okay, let's go to the next step. Let's do the math. Like, no, we've heard it many times with Bob Greenwood, Dave Shadeen, all the different trainers. No, let's sit down and do the math now, because you know that you should be charging more. So let's do the math on how to charge it more. And like, Carm's awesome. You look at I went through all the different podcasts. There are so many podcasts on the calculations and the formulas in our business. The how-tos. A peer of mine calls it the filing cabinet.
Carlo, how do you remember all of them?
Yeah, it's one of those. He says, Carlo, I just want a filing cabinet. I want to open the drawer, go inside, grab the tool, pull it out, and put it to use. And that's like formulas. It's and I'm the same way. I can't remember them all. I'm just like every other owner. I'm trying to run the shop and deal with the fires, and I have a book with all my formulas still in them after all of these years, where I go, okay, how do I do this calculation again? Because I can't remember. And I got to go through and look at it and remind myself and go through and take a look. And now let's look at the how-tos of doing the math, of figuring out, okay, what should I charge? How much should I be charging? What's my labor rate? What's my parts matrix? What's my labor matrix? All that other stuff we should be going through and doing once we know that.
I guess you have a problem because you're not charging with what you're worth, because you don't have any money, any profit left in the bank account. The old, oh, I've got some money there, I'm happy. Yes. Oh, I have a $500,000 business and there's $1,000 in the bank account. I'm successful. Hey, check this out.
Oh, look at that.
Hey, Maylan.
Good morning, sunshine.
That's exactly what I was thinking. Good morning, gentlemen. I apologize. I had some technical difficulties.
No problem. It is so good to have you here. I'll tell you, Glenn and Carlo have held the fort down, sir.
I'll just sit here and be quiet then.
That's what I've been doing. Oh my God. Hey, welcome, Maylan Newton. Glad to have you here. Trainer, coach from ESI, the Educational Seminars Institute, and an automotive management specialist, man. He is, it was Maylan and I really chatted about doing this show a couple of months ago, and I thank God you were here. I would have felt really bad about it. Let me just stop for a moment. And Rory, thank you, Rory. I mean, when I replace the national news, that's pretty big. And so thank you, Rory. We work our butt off to bring great episodes that teach and learn and help people, the whole all ships rise. So, Maylan, now that you've just joined us, do you have any comments you'd love to bring to us?
Well, I actually, since I couldn't get on, was listening on Facebook. So I've heard a little bit of what's been talked about. And Carlo, you brought up a good point when you walk through the shop and you look at the investment we've made to be a professional shop in not just equipment and all of those things, but also facility, the way we look. And I'm 100% behind you. If you don't look like you belong, that you're worth it, nobody will pay it. And the value-driven proposition is huge. We don't build value, we fix cars. And what happens is when we ask them for money, we talk technical to them and they don't understand it. So we are comfortable technically and the customer doesn't care. You mentioned, Carlo, about using good parts, right? And I think that's what I call a duh statement, because that's a minimum expectation. Because is there anybody out there that advertises we use crappy parts? we don't have certified technicians. We don't have good people. No, I mean it's kind of like everybody expects. That's a minimum expectation, I think. So when you say we use quality parts, it's kind of like saying trust me. Mm-hmm. I'm not going to trust you, right? Yeah. It's that way. And I have fought for a long time for us to get paid for our knowledge, not what we do. To me, that's huge. And I agree 100%. We need to build more value. Glenn used the statement dependable transportation. And we're not fixing cars. We're actually providing something for their family. And they rely on us even more so today. And the relationship is huge. You know, Glenn has spectacular relationships with his customers. They come in and throw him the keys. They're not there because of price.
No.
They're there because they trust Glenn and his people. And he has a great culture in the shop and everybody cares. That's what we need to get paid for, not fixing the car.
Can I stop this thought here and try to use the position that we are in this discussion, 20 some minutes in, and reach out to anyone who's going to listen to this as a repurposed podcast, anyone who's going to watch this as a repurposed video next week, and anyone who's on with us now. We are giving to everyone the magic elixir on how to fix and solve these problems. And I guarantee you that everyone who's on with us, this is helping to support the things that they do. They don't need this advice. They don't need it. You know, the top 20% of the industry that listens to this show, I need you to do me a favor and get this message downward so that we can be speaking to the top 25% of our industry someday, because we can pull them. We either pull them over the line or help somehow push them over the line and get the business to improve, to be better, to, you know, paint, fix up, hire better people, do the training. Because if you're wondering why you can't charge, is because you have nothing to sell. I hear an echo.
It's interesting to me. We are so caught up in fixing the car, we forget why we're in business. And, you know, everything that's been said here, you know, raising your hourly rate on a regular basis, charging the right amount of money for parts. And I'll share a story. Just a fairly new client, he bonused his employees for a great week. The problem is he didn't make enough money in gross profit to cover the bonuses, much less his bills. And we're such great car people. We need to become business people. And all of this is in the same conversation. Most people don't know what to charge because they never figured it out. They don't do the math. They don't understand the numbers.
Nor do they understand why they want to charge more.
Exactly.
Yeah.
They don't like, you know, it's that whole charging what you're worth is, you know, okay, so why do you want to charge more? And then, you know, it's all part of that original conversation about that whole, you know, 3 pieces to the puzzle. You know, does the owner believe in the business? Does the owner believe in where he needs to go? Does he even know where he wants to go? You know, in Maylan, you probably talk to shop owners, and it's like, where do you want to be in 3 years? I have no idea. I'm still trying to put up fires today.
I'm trying to make it to lunch.
You know, it's surprisingly enough, you know, you talk to shop owners and say, so what's your problems? Well, I got mortgage. I got 2 kids I want to put in university. Hey, we're in Canada here. So, you know, university is paid for, but down in the States, things cost a lot more for something. So isn't it interesting how that if you sat down and thought about, I've got 2 kids, I need to put them through university. They're going to cost, you know, $50,000 each. That's $100,000. You start putting that into, okay, well, what do I need to take from the company? What do I need for net worth out of the company, net profit? And you find how fast you'll change all the different labor rates and parts rates and everything right down the pipe when you start getting motivated. When your wife says, I've had enough of you working those hours, I'm tired. And you have that serious family sit down conversation. And she says, you need to take time for holidays, and we're going to take a really nice holiday, and you're going to figure out how to pay for it. You really start making changes really quickly. Your lead technician quits. He's the guy that is the leader in the shop, and you were paying him $70,000 a year, and he quits, but his replacement costs $95,000 a year. Isn't it how interesting how fast you flip the switch on labor rate, matrix, and margins? Because now you're like, I got to pay for them, so I got to charge for it. So it's one of those cases where what's the thing in your personal life? What's your goal that motivates you? Because I know I'll speak for myself. When I know that I want to retire by a certain age and I need a certain amount of money, I'm very much quicker teaching my advisors value, words, and reasonings when selling that ticket. And I'm making sure I hire great techs because I can't afford to have comebacks in my shop. And I'm buying great tools because I know I need to stay in business for another 10 more years. So we're looking at those parts margins and labor matrices because it's all leads back to this is what I need for retirement personally. And that's why we're doing what we do. A great friend of mine, Mark Bergas, said, the business is meant to work for us. We're not there meant to work for it.
But you got to pull all the right levers to make that happen.
Yes.
Hey, I want to just stop for a moment and thank our sponsors for bringing the Town Hall Academy every single week to you. You know, Shopware's contactless service is key to keeping your bays full while remaining 6 feet apart. Shopware's completely digital workflow will wow your customers and keep profits up. Tara from Topol Service Center commented recently, thank God for this amazing cloud-based software. Thank you, Carolyn and Team Shopware. And thanks to Shop Marketing Pros. Is your marketing company sharing the same vanilla social media posts for you that they do for every other shop? Well, that's not how Shop Marketing Pros does business. They believe each shop is unique with its own story. Contact them today, shopmarketingpros.com on the web. This is fabulous. I love the tone. I mean, the tone, we're not sitting here saying, I think you should do this. I mean, I think we're really pushing this thing. And there's a point in the podcast for 6 years now, almost 900 episodes, that we have to stop offering, great strategies, but we have to kind of force the how on people. And so team, Glenn, if I came to you and I was a struggling guy and I'm not making any money, sit down, look me in the eye and tell me what to do.
It is a trial and error because every shop in every area is different. So your basic labor, you're going to back into it with your overhead. And then you're going to add the things like I've spent a lifetime learning how to maintain my customers' vehicles. There you go, value right there. So I've always raised my labor rate 2% every quarter. And you keep doing that. That keeps you up and above because workers' comp, they don't care about, they'll raise that. Your liability insurance, bang, that goes up. Your technicians, your employees, they all have cost of living raises. Everything's going up. And if you can't maintain that, then you're in trouble. Then you're that guy that's, hey, you know what? I'm working my butt off. I got nothing in the bank. I can't give myself a paycheck. You might as well go to work for somebody else if you can't get turned that around.
Yeah, it's a big part of the how-tos. Carm, I sort of want to question the how-tos. The how-tos come from the why, and I think it's figuring out the why you're going to charge what you're worth. Once you figure out the whys, the hows just go. It's sort of like they always say an old saying was, ready, fire, aim. You just do it. Just do it, and then think about what happens after. And as a shop owner listening, it's like, oh, how do I charge more? They're thinking, I got to charge more for parts. I got to charge more for labor. I got to charge more for BMW. I got to charge more on old vehicles, rusty vehicles. First stepping stones is know that you have to charge more. Acknowledge it and say, okay, I'm not charging enough. Some people listening are charging $200 an hour and they're totally worth it. And I listen to them going, how do you charge $200 an hour? Because they just did it. They know the value of their business. It's figuring out the why. The how-tos are, hey, you know what? Go to podcast 471, podcast 30, number 37. They're all how-tos on how to calculate labor rate, how to calculate the parts margins, how to calculate tiered labor rates. You gotta do your homework. It's like our technicians. Did you ever get frustrated as a tech, like lead tech, and you look in the shop and your younger techs are on Identifix, diagnosing the check engine light, going, okay, yep, 125 hits on evap solenoid. So that's where I'm going to start. I'm going to go to the evap solenoid, and then you go, do you even know how the system works? No. But that must be where I have to start. And then we get frustrated as our technicians because they're diagnosing by Identifix. Well, that's just like a shop owner saying, here's all the how-to formulas, go to it. And you're like, do you even know how or why your business needs to charge more? No. Right. but I'm just going to do it.
It's very interesting when I do trade shows, and I'll be outside of California, for example, and they ask, what's the hourly rate? Well, I've had clients at $200 for a year or longer, and they go, well, how do you do that? Well, it's the cost of doing business. You have 10,000 square feet that cost you $2,000 a month, and in California, 2,000 square feet costs you $10,000 a month, on top of all the other joyous things we get to pay. And
I'm glad I don't have a shop in California.
well,
we have a lot of environmental rules down there.
no, we have a lot of rules, just period.
Yeah.
The point I want to make is all of us, all of us, myself included, we got into this car repair business because we like cars and we like fixing things and we like working with our hands. And somewhere down the road, some of us got the idea that we had to understand business and learn business. And I can remember, in fact, Glenn and I were talking about this the other day because we actually started kind of in the same spot. When I figured out what the hourly rate of the shop was supposed to be, it was an epiphany. It was like a 2x4 hit me in the head. We got to charge this, and we're not. And then when I learned what true flat rate or effective flat rate was, it was another 2x4 that hit me. And I remember going back and telling the guy who owned the shop, going, hey, we need to raise our hourly rate. We need to charge, more just based on our overhead. And I think we should do this. And he's, no, we can't raise our hourly rate. We'll price ourselves out of the market and we'll be too high. And I said, okay. So every estimate I wrote after that day, I wrote at the higher rate. I just didn't tell him about it. I just did it. And after about 2 weeks, he comes to me and goes, what are you doing differently? Now, I don't recommend this to all you service writers out there, but I did it. He goes, what are you doing differently? And I said, well, me? I'm not doing anything differently. And he goes, I know you are. There's more money in the bank. And I said, remember the hourly rate thing I told you about a couple weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, whatever it was? Yeah. I've been doing that since that day we had the conversation. And he was like, you can't do that. No, we're going to go broke. Wait a minute. We're as busy as ever. And you have money in the bank. What are you complaining about? But I had to learn it, and then I had to apply it, and it's a tough concept that you need to charge more. Like Glenn says, everything goes up. I mean, your landlord doesn't come to you and go, hey, COVID, forget rent. They might forgive you for a while. They might help you out because the law told them to, but they raise their rates every year. The doctor raises their rates every year. Look what medicine costs. Think about what we pay for other things. I was, after my stroke, I was getting a shot in my eye, and just the medicine that they inject in your eye was $1,800 a shot. And the guy charged me $300 to poke me in the eye with a sharp stick. I have friends that'll do it for free. But do I want them doing it?
There's the $60,000 question that it makes us undervalued because since we're in this knowledge-based business, guys, here's my question. We've talked about this on the show before, but I have to ask it. Why does labor rate have to be a function of the market and not the business? That's where I think people are stuck.
It shouldn't be. It absolutely should not be, because if I put a business across the street from Glenn's right now, it will cost me more per month to be in business than it does him. So can I charge what he charges and survive?
No.
And if I go to Canada, I probably don't need to charge what I have to in California, right? Maybe it depends on where I'm at, right?
Again, we all in our careers as owners, as we grow up in the business, we all did monkey see, monkey do, or follow the leader. I know I did that when I was learning in this business. You raised your rate. Oh, I guess I should raise my rate. I had peers in my peer group access my software and change my labor rate on me because I was too afraid to do it. And I'd come back and go, "Oh, we changed it about a month ago. Did you not notice?" And I'm like, "Nope." So again, it's an emotional tie that we have to it. And then once you become sort of the leader in the front, it gets easier because you do the labor rate changes, you do the math, you hire that $90,000 technician, you run the calculation, go, it's got to be changed, done. You go down to your service advisors and say, hey guys, this is what happens. Some of them don't even tell their service advisors, they just do it because we're selling the value of the full price tax in. When is it going to be ready to go? That's what we're selling. We're not selling a labor rate. That's why you don't, and it's an easy, sometimes I have to sell myself on it. As an owner, I'll change, okay, at $130 times 0.3 hours, how much? Oh, that's not really that bad. Okay, what's 140 times point? Oh, I could put a fuel filter on for another $15. Okay, yeah, I'm comfortable. After 25 years, I still sometimes have to do those 0.3, 0.4, 0.5 calculations to break it down into the time clock and go, that's really not that bad. I can't charge $20 more? Really? Okay, let's go. Let's make the change. It's sometimes just that's the little thing for me, myself, that sells me on it to why I need to go through and do it. It's little sort of tips on how you get to do it because we think 130, 150, 170, that's a big number. Let's break it down into 0.1 increments. Time clock.
2% a quarter. It's not very much. You're just talking a couple of bucks.
Well, let me tell you guys a quick story. So talking with a client, asking him to raise his labor rate, pretty much the cost of living. This was 2 years ago, 2.5 years ago. And you would have thought I asked him to burn his building down. I mean, he went off the deep end, ranting and raving. I can't do that. I'll be out of business. And reality is we're talking $5 and about $15 on a repair order in his shop, right? 3-hour average repair order. And so I said, okay, no problem. I'm water over granite. Every time we talk, which was 1 hour every week, right? Raise your labor rate. Go up to $5. Go up to $5. Go up to $5. A year goes by. He hasn't changed his labor rate. So before I get on the phone with him, I'm talking to his wife and I said, please tell me how many hours of labor we billed last year. And she tells me, and I do the math. He gets on the phone and I said, how would you like to have $30,000 in your pocket right now? And he goes, oh my gosh, I'd love to have that. I really could use that. I said, if you would have raised your hourly rate when I told you to, you would have $30,000 more money. And that $5 an hour was overwhelming to him. So we talked about it. I said, now you got to go up that $5 from last year, but you need to go up $5 from this year too. and
did he have money in his bank account?
No. So he needed this. I mean, this was, he was in need of it. So he thought about it. We talked and he goes, $30,000. I said, yeah. And that's pretty conservative, right? So the next Monday he went up $15, $5 for the first year. I told him $5 for the second year. He didn't do it. And $5 for this year. And he calls me 2 weeks later. I talked to him and he goes, nobody noticed. I said, it's because you're selling value, not the price. And that's the emotion. I think you used it, Carlo, the emotion and the fear of raising our prices.
You know, guys, we're talking labor rates. We need to actually speak to gross margin too. I mean, and let's play with that labor matrix and let's manage our costs, because if we're going to charge what we're worth, and I love the premise of it, at the end of the day, it's the profitability, the net profit of the company that allows us. Carlo, you were talking about something so cool. You know, you're talking about cost for university and all these things that you want to do. And then I kept thinking about, we have to think about retirement too. Oh my God, I'm going to sell this one day. Maybe not. Okay. Whatever those things are, they have to be held accountable. I need new equipment, new scan tools. We need raises. We need all these things. None of that happens without net profit. And so if we're on the hunt for anything, we're doing all these things up here because we want our quality of life for our people, our company, ourselves to be richer and better. And I guess my question to the entire industry is, what's wrong with that?
I think our industry is Bob talks a lot about the math side of our business. I think we just honestly we struggle to understand that P&L statement. We understand evap systems and drivability and fuel trims. We grow into understanding numbers because of our SMS systems, but we really don't understand a P&L statement properly. So we don't understand net. We understand Jingle Factor, and that's how I ran my business once upon a time. I looked at the bank account, saw that there's money, went, yeah, baby, I got money and we're doing good. And it was Jingle Factor. Jingle Factor is not cash flow. Jingle Factor is money in the bank at this current moment in time that may not be there because you're using the government's tax money to support that bank account, which has to be paid off back to the government and or 401k, all the other different government things that we have to pay. So running the business on Jingle Factor is not P&L. That's just a different thing. So it's understanding that net profit. And I only found in the last couple of years that the industry started training and really focusing in on net. It was a lot of gross margins, gross profit, parts matrix. And I noticed a lot now in the last number of years that it's a real focus on net. The bottom line, what do you got to pull out of this thing? But even a focus on net profit is where we should start. But what net do you need? And why do you need the net? So a shop owner who's just starting is saying, I've got kids and a mortgage and bills to pay. What's your net need to be? Well, he needs maybe help to figure out what net is and how do I calculate it. And there's an owner who's on the opposite end who's sort of in the business for a while. And he's like, I'm going to sell this place. What net do you need to have a proper business evaluation? Because if you think you're going to sell your business for $1 million and it's only worth 300, you'll get a rude awakening when the day comes when you want to go sell it. So it's a knowing where that net number wants to be at. But a lot of times I think I talk to some shop owners and their net is too complicated. It's paralysis by analysis. Is you got so many numbers and so many formulas in our business. You just got to sort of chunk it down and go, okay, what's the ones that are going to do the most amount of damage for profitability? Labor rate, parts to labor matrix, your parts matrix is on dealer, aftermarket parts. The basic ones have got to be in there. The top level shops, I call them accounting shops. They're the guys who know the numbers like accountants. They're looking at net profit and percentages, and they're really everybody else. It's just knowing what the labor rate, parts rate. Those are the beginning baby steps and the stepping stones on where you focus on how to charge for it. And once you start charging, you feel better because now you pay your people better. You hire better people. You hire better advisors. You don't hire based upon an expense line. You're going, I can only afford a $30,000 advisor. No, you can afford a $60,000 and now take a step back out of the business because you're making money. But it's this constant chasing our tail. We don't charge, we can't afford. Can't charge, can't afford. It's knowing I got to stop this.
Hey guys, I want to take a time out and get back to our final segment here. I want to thank again our great sponsors. Now more than ever, you're focused on bringing cars through your bays safely and efficiently. And Shopware's shop management system offers a completely contactless workflow. Your customers can review, approve, and even pay for their repairs right from their smartphone. Request a demo at getshopware.com. And when someone searches for a shop, who are they finding? Your competitors? Well, it should be you. The good people over at Shop Marketing Pros know how to drive website traffic and make Google work for you on the web at shopmarketingpros.com. Guys, we recently did a show called Where the Money Goes. And I was with Patrick McHugh, and it is the coolest show where we had this, you play with $100 bill, you give money out to your team, and they actually learn what your P&L is all about and how that $100 sale ends up being sometimes very little money if you share your honest P&L. Great episode. Go and check that out, episode 210. And then we had this other great show, Stop Selling from Your Wallet. And that really opened everyone's eye as to what we value the cost of things are, and how some of our service advisors say, I'd never pay, $800 for that on my car, so I can't sell it.
That's funny, Carm, because there's the P&L from that podcast,
Oh,
and there's
look at
all the
that.
envelopes. I've been working on it
Oh.
today because I thought that was an amazing takeaway on that one. I think every shop owner, even if they do it just for themselves, I went through and did the envelopes. I'm like, wow, that's a great tip.
And here's something to think about. Going to what Carlo was saying is we send our numbers to our CPAs, accountants, bookkeepers. They give us a P&L. We don't understand it, but more importantly, in many, many cases, it's wrong.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen, I would venture a guess to say 98% of all the P&Ls I see are wrong. They're not accurate numbers. And I saw one that was $12,000 off. So he thought he was making $12,000 a month profit when he was, I'm sorry, $14,000 a month profit, and he was actually making $2,000. He was making decisions on $12,000 a month that he didn't have. So that's where you need to understand. We really need a cash flow statement, money in, money out. And a P&L is written for an accountant. You as a shop owner need a cash flow statement. What did you spend? What did you make? And focus on gross profit's important. And we always brag about gross sales. And what we should be bragging on is net profit.
Cash flow will show you if the ship has a leak.
That's right.
And
do.
P&L statements that have again, we have P&L statements, and the seasoned shop owners know a P&L statement for the banking industry for certain various taxation reasons and stuff like that. And then we have P&Ls where everything went in a box over to the accountant and hope and pray that we made money this year. There's a couple different ways to look at a P&L. There are P&Ls out there that I know the guy's making money, but the P&L that is being generated at the end is done it for a very specific, targeted reason. And that's just a smart business owner. But you got to understand what you're sort of looking at.
Right.
Well, guys, this was, I just love where this went. I think this was perfectly timed, very emotional, I think very direct. And I think you all had fabulous contribution to this. Let's go around the room and make one final great maybe plea to the fact that we, again, the people that are listening don't need this, but you all will become soldiers for us and help the rest of the industry get stronger, because we as a stronger industry, there's nothing that we can't do. And I've never sensed people are so willing to pay it forward today, which is what the podcast is all about. And I think this is the sounding board. So let's hammer the message home. I'm going to go to Glenn, then Carlo, and then Maylan. So Glenn?
Yeah, I think if we can get our industry to have, I think it all comes with self-respect. If you have more self-respect for yourself, and if you realize what you've put into this industry and what your value is as a person to the industry, then that'll help you to go ahead and charge the price, because your customers don't care. They want you or your team to be taking care of their car, and they're going to pay what you're going to charge. And we so often misinterpret that as they're going to notice this $2 on their work order increase, or this a little bit in the hourly rate or whatever. But that's not true. If you have the right customers, they just want you and your experience to be taking care of them, and they'll pay your price.
Thank you so much, Carlo.
I'm going to just leave off with a quote from Bob Greenwood when I was 24 in 1994 when I started in the business. And he looked me straight in the eye and he said, "Carlo, you've got to make money, because nobody will be there at your retirement party because you didn't know how to run a business. If you don't make money, they're not going to be there to write you the check to take care of you in retirement." And ever since then, we make money to take care of us, the family, and our retirement and our exit strategy. But if you don't want to make any money, no one's going to be there to help you pick you back up again down the road. End of story. Nobody. They'll take their business somewhere else. They're not there to baby you after you're done. So if your business goes under, it's your fault. If you didn't charge enough, it's your fault.
And you've let your customers down.
It's a big part of it. No one's going to be there to help you at the end. It's too late.
Mm-hmm.
Very powerful stuff. Maylan, you got the last word, man.
Thank you. And I apologize to everyone for being late. I apologize.
None needed.
One of the things that we have to make a priority is to understand our business. And it's a combination of things. We got to stop fixing cars and we got to run our businesses. And profit is not a bad word. And here's the thing. If something happens to you right now, how is this business going to support your family? Not just pay for college or down the road. I'm talking about the day-to-day living expenses. So we need to build a business that survives us and makes money for our families. Forget you. Let's make it for our families. That's the important part about this. And your employees' families, they depend upon you to have profit so they can continue to work for you and you can stay in business. Your customers want you to be in business because they've invested in you. So when you don't price properly and you don't charge properly, in the end, the person you've hurt the most is your family, followed by your employees and your customers. And it's not about, you don't have to be a marketing genius. You don't have to be a numbers genius. You just got to be curious enough to know exactly what's going on in your business and stop worrying about what you're charging and worry about the value to the customer, because that's the ultimate measure, the value you give.
Wow. Hey, guys, super duper. Thank you so much, Maylan Newton, trainer, coach, ESI, Educational Seminars Institute, Glenn Larson, Foothill Auto Service, Lake Forest, California, and my number one fan, Carlo Sabucco from Sills Complete Auto Care, Oakville, Ontario. Guys, have a great time. Thanks for being here.
Thanks.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Carm.